Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Ultimate Book Club of Book Clubs. This time we're going to be discussing Fleur-de-Lis, which is the book that came out on June 20th. So about 3-ish weeks ago. I tried to make sure to schedule these for a few weeks after release date to give people a chance to read the book. As the banner on the bottom here says, there will be spoilers in this book club live stream for the book Fleur-de-Lis. So if you haven't read it yet and don't want spoilers, you can come back and watch it later. This is being recorded and it will stay on Facebook and on YouTube, so you can come back later. All right, as it has become very common in these book clubs, I'm going to start out by asking where everyone is tuning in from. And I will have a prize for the person who is tuning in from the closest to where I am right now, and one for the person tuning in from the furthest away. And the winners of those prizes will receive one of the swag packs that I sent out last month that has a couple of neat bookmarks, a Gents group sticker. I just dropped one of the stickers. A sticker for Henri and Nicolette. There's a couple of quote stickers from the book and a Fleur-de-Lis flower sticker to go with it. So those will go out to the person tuning in from the closest and the person tuning in from the furthest away. That prize, along with several others, and I'll tell you which ones, I will go back through the comments on Thursday morning, so about 36 hours from now, and grab the winners then. So if you're watching this after the fact, you still have a little bit of time to get those in. So it is really fun seeing where everyone's coming in from all over. Yay! Awesome. All right. So let's see, what else do I have? Throughout the live stream tonight, feel free to comment, answer questions. There's going to be games, participate when we get to the question and answer part of it. Ask questions. I'm going to pull winners of all of our prizes from comments that are left. And there are going to be a couple of prizes that will go to people who are just randomly chosen from amongst the commenters. So whether you're commenting on Facebook or on YouTube, your comments are being recorded and I'll be able to pull them from there. So with all of that, we're going to get to move forward. The very, very, very first thing we're going to do is a trivia game. This involves Fleur-de-Lis, but also other books in my interrelated universe. So this is going to test how well you remember things. And as always, if you don't know the answer or you can't think of it, you are more than welcome to steal somebody's answer. That's how we work around here. Just like when we do game nights, you're allowed to cheat. So I'm going to give you a couple of trivia questions. This first trivia question, I have a prize that I will draw a winner from people who answer this question now. That prize is going to be a copy of this book, Love Unseen by Rachel Kelly Stones. This book just came out, I think it was 1 week ago today, so it's really, really new. We'll get a copy of that book, plus this really cute magnetic bookmark from author Jenny Bennett. I got a few of those from her, and those are going to be given away with books tonight. So that's our first prize, if you can answer this trivia question. So here you go. The question is, what other book in my universe of interrelated books takes place in the same neighborhood where Fleur-de-Lis takes place? Ooh. Many of you probably did notice, and maybe some didn't, but this is actually a pretty familiar location. It has played a very prominent role in a different book in my universe. So who knows which one it is? Give people a second to pop it in. Okay, I'm seeing answers. So we're looking for a book that is set in the same neighborhood that Fleur-de-Lis is set in. One hint that will come out is they go and visit a neighboring estate, which is called Tafford. That estate has definitely come up before. And there is a book that is set almost entirely at that estate. Okay, I'm seeing a ton of people dropping in the correct answer. So I'll go ahead and tell you that you are correct. It is Fleur-de-Lis. it takes place in that same neighborhood because Tafford is the estate where Marion from Drops of Gold grew up. We meet her cousin at the end of that book. Her cousin has inherited that estate. That is where he lives now. His book is Fleur-de-Lis, and it takes place at Tafford in this same neighborhood. And they mention in Fleur-de-Lis that one of the grand neighboring estates is Norwood, and that is where this book takes place. So that was a fun little Easter egg to drop into Fleur-de-Lis, knowing that eventually I would get to write this book that's set there. So yay. All right. I'm going to scroll through the comments and randomly select someone who gave the correct answer, and they're going to win the prize, Love Unseen. Here we go. All right. My mouse stopped on Amy Mortensen, who commented on Facebook. So Amy, I'm going to write your name down. I will put up a post Thursday morning with all of our winners. But if you think about it and message me on social media before then, we can get it to you still. So, all right, awesome. So that was trivia question number 1. Trivia question number 2. This one I am going to leave in the comments, or I'm going to leave the, not going to, guys, my brain is so fried today. I'm not going to draw a winner right now. For this one, I'm going to go back through the comments Thursday morning and grab a winner. So the person who can answer this question correct and is randomly chosen will win a copy of An Unwitting Alliance by Annika Walker. This book just came out today, so it is brand new. But that's the prize I'm going to give away for this trivia question. It also has a cute magnetic bookmark from author Jenny Bennett. So here's your question for this one. This book, Fleur-de-Lis, is full of so many Easter eggs and connections to other books, which made it super fun to write. In Fleur-de-Lis, there are 3 children who are a prominent part of the story, who are there for the house party that this book takes place during. In what other book of mine do all 3 of those children appear on the page? So there's your big question. I will give you one hint. In the book that they all appear in together again, they are adults when that book takes place. So you have to use your thinking caps there, figure out who those children were, who they were as adults, and what book they were all in together. So you go ahead and pop your guesses in the comments. When I post the winners on Thursday, I will also post the answer to any of the the trivia or games that I don't give you the answers to. So think about that one. It was really fun to drop so many Easter eggs and so many connections into this book, because there really are so many. So that is our second trivia question. And again, the one lucky correct guesser will get a copy of Annika Walker's brand new book. And that winner will be posted on Thursday. As is also tradition, I'm having Raspberry Shrub during book club. I started that with Charming Artemis, and it's been a tradition ever since. Okay. Amy Jacobs is saying that her memory of books isn't always fantastic. You are welcome to steal answers. I encourage cheating. How awful is that? Oh my goodness. All right. So we've covered some trivia. Now I'm going to ask you a question that I ask in a lot of these Ultimate Book Club of book clubs. And that is, other than our main characters, so Henri and Nicolette, and other than the couples who have been featured in previous Gents books, who is one of your favorite characters in this book? There are a lot to choose from. It's a pretty big cast, but who's someone that you enjoyed either meeting for the first time or getting to know better or spending some extra time with? Like I said, there's a huge cast of characters, so it's there's a lot to choose from. And this will also come with prizes, because I'm all about the prizes tonight. It makes book club fun, right? Tonight I will, in just a minute here, draw a winner from amongst those who post characters they enjoyed or enjoyed getting to know better or enjoyed spending time with. And that person will win the 3 novella collection from Tracy Hunter Abramson's Dream's Edge series. And of course, a magnetic bookmark, because we're all about those tonight. So that's going to go to someone I'm going to draw here in just a second. And then on Thursday, I will also draw a random commenter from this question who will win a copy of In the Shelter of Hollythorn House by Sarah Ladd. This is a brand new book. It's fantastic. It will come with a magnetic sticker or bookmark from Jenny Bennett, as well as this really cute pair of earrings from author Samantha Hastings. So that's kind of a fun little multi-author bundle right there. That'll be drawn on Thursday. So I'm going to swing back through and see who people enjoyed getting to know or meeting or spending time with in this book. Oh, someone said Celeste. Yeah, don't you love Henri's sister? Like, she's fantastic. It was fun to bring her in. Let's see. Oh, Niles. Yes, we love Niles. Aldrich Digby. Oh, yes, little Roderick, right? We got to see him. Oh, I love it. And Stanley. Yeah, someone has said Stanley. It is so fun for me in these Gents books to be able to give you glimpses at Stanley. So you can come to know who he was and the person he was and the influence that he had on everyone. Oh, this makes my heart happy. And Adele, little Adele. Did you guys have fun with little Philip too? Isn't it fun to see like little baby jonquils popping up here and there? Love it. Oh, and Mater, yes, because Julia shows up in this as a younger mom. Okay, I'm going to scroll through to pick our winner of this set of novellas from Tracy Abramson. So spin. And my mouse has stopped on Marilyn, who commented on YouTube. So I'm going to write down your name so that I can make sure and tag you in our post on Thursday so you can get those novellas. And on Thursday, I will draw from all of these comments in here a winner of this prize. So, woohoo! Guys, we are just flying through prizes tonight. This is so fun. I love that we have so many people participating. I never know in the summer if we'll have a lot of attendees at these things because the schedule is always so hectic. So yay. All right. Okay. I have another game. You guys excited? I have so many games planned for tonight because I think games at book clubs are the best. All right. We're going to play a round of Who Said It. I play this on social media a lot where I pull a quote, either a quote that wasn't included in a final book or is in a draft of an upcoming book, or a quote from a released book, but I take out the name of the person who's saying it so we can see if we can guess who it is. And in this version, this is a quote taken from Fleur-de-Lis. So you're going to have to try and figure out who the character is that said this. And the winner of this, and I will draw this winner on Thursday. So if you're tuning in afterwards, go ahead and put your guesses in the comments. But the winner is going to get this set of lotions I brought back from France. Aren't they cute? And a bag that I got. I got to go to the town of Bayeux, which is in the north of France. And they have this really, really incredible tapestry that's over 1,000 years old. And they have it in this now special built building to protect it so that you can see it. But it used to be brought out once a year and displayed. And it told the story of William the Conqueror and all that. So it was really neat. I got to go see that. But at this point, I'd already written Fleur-de-Lis. I already knew the story of it. So you better believe that the name on this bag caught my attention. If you've read the book, which I hope you have, because spoilers, you will know why La Tapisserie caught my attention. So I grabbed this bag and found a way to fit it into my carry-on because I was traveling with just a carry-on. So the winner on this one is going to win this really, really cool bag that I brought back from France, and these lotions I brought back from there as well. So here is your Who Said It quote, and I will give the answer to this on Thursday when I post the winners. So see if you can figure it out. If you have the book, you probably can go look it up, but see how you do without it. All right, here you go. Here's the quote. There is danger in the undercurrent of France. I have seen revolution. I have heard all that led up to it. We are on that path, and whether we veer from it has yet to be seen. Ooh. So, who do you think said that? It is in Fleur-de-Lis, and that is the quote. So, All right, so leave your comments so you have a chance to win this bag. It's a burlap, so it's actually really very strong and sturdy and can be used for a ton of things. But la tapisserie, like I had to grab that because it's such a huge part of this book. So woohoo! All right, okay. I see some guesses popping in. Like I said, I'll tell you the right answer on Thursday, but I see you. I see you in there. Okay. All right. So now, even though it's not game night, I am going to do a commercial of sorts, a trailer to play for you for my next release, the next book that's going to come out. I'm going to play it for you now. So here we go. Ooh, is that spooky enough? So excited in September. So we're less than 2 months. The Queen and the Knave will hit shelves. It's the final installment to my Dread Penny Society series. To celebrate that, I'm giving away 2 arcs of the book. Ooh. And here's the very, 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 very easy way to win one. I want you to leave a comment here in the comments, letting me know a character that you are excited to see again in The Queen and the Knave. I will draw one winner tonight in just a minute, and then I will draw another one on Thursday to win an arc, an advanced reader copy of this book that comes out in September. So, ooh. All right. So go ahead and leave that in the comments. Who are you excited to see again in The Queen and the Knave? Oh, I'm seeing some already. Yay. And I can tell you, everyone I'm seeing pop up, you do get to see again in this book. So, woohoo. A little shrub to get me through the evening. Virginia says, all of them? Yes, right. They're such a fun group of characters. And if you haven't come across it on my social media yet, we are doing the most incredible launch event for this book. We're doing it in Salt Lake City on August 26th. And what we are doing is taking possession of an absolutely incredible Victorian era mansion in downtown Salt Lake City, Utah. And we are converting it into recreating within its walls the headquarters of the Dread Penny Society. It's going to be so amazing. And we're encouraging people to come in costume. We're all going to be in costume. It's going to be like you have literally stepped into the pages of a book. It's going to be so amazing. So tons of information about that on my social media. You can find it there. It's also on the social media for the Proper Romance line. You can find that there as well. So, oh, yeah, I'm saying people say that they're coming. So it's going to be really, really amazing. I'm excited. I've never seen an event quite like this before. So it's both exciting and it makes me a little nervous because I think, oh my gosh, what if nobody comes? What if no one's as nerdy as me and likes wearing costumes in old houses? All right, I'm going to scroll my mouse back over the comments to find a winner tonight of this arc. So here we go. Okay, it stopped on Elizabeth Parker, who commented on Facebook. So I'm going to write that down so I don't forget who our winner is. And if you are still hoping to win, don't despair. I do have a second arc that's going to be given away to someone who has commented on this question, and that will be given away on Thursday. So watch for that. All right. Okay, I have another game. because I'm all about games. I love games, guys. All right, this game is the emoji game, but a slightly different twist on it. In the past, we've played the emoji game where I had people on social media describe a book to me, one of my books, using only emojis, and then I have to try and guess what they are. And I totally forgot to do that yesterday. So I spent today creating a different version of the emoji game. So in this one, I have put together a set of emojis that represent a character or characters in this book, in Fleur-de-Lis, and we're going to see if you guys can guess what it is. And then I will draw tonight one winner who gives a correct guess to any of the ones I'm putting up. And then I'll draw one on Thursday, same thing. So here's our very, very first one, just to give you an example. So here is a set of emojis. I'm going to pop back over to the comments so I can see. There we go. Okay, so here is our first set of emojis. Can you guys guess who this group is, who this emojis is meant to represent? Pop it in the comments if you think you know what this one is. Okay, yeah, it's coming up quick. I knew this one would be easy. I wanted it to be given as an example. So this is the Gents. We have over here, this is as close as I could get to the Highwayman, which was Stanley. Here we have the Joker from a pack of cards. So that's the Jester. That's Lucas. I debated between this one and the angry emoji for Grumpy Uncle. This one felt more grumpy and less angry. We have a church, that's going to be Archbishop, right? Paw prints, that's Puppy. A military helmet, that's the general. And the crown is for the king. So this is the Gents. So that was what I came up with that. So that's the basic idea. I'm going to toss up emojis, and they either represent a group of people or a single person. And you're going to try and guess who it is. And I will be giving away tonight to someone who guesses on this emoji game a copy of one of these really beautiful Gents themed tote bags that they gave away at the launch party for Fleur-de-Lis. And it comes with a pack of swag that came with it, as well as a signed copy of Fleur-de-Lis. So that's going to go to someone tonight who guesses correctly in this emoji game. And then I will give away the same thing to someone on Thursday who makes a correct guess during this game. So, all right, here we go. Here's the next one. Okay. Can you figure out who this is meant to represent? So this is all people from this book in their life circumstances as they are in this book. So who is this? Okay, I'm seeing some good guesses. All right. Okay, someone even figured out who this is. It is. Okay, so a lot of you guessed this correctly. This is meant to represent Lucas and Julia, little baby Philip, and soon to be born little baby Leighton. So yeah, that's who that is. Yay, good job, guys. All right, here's the next one. Okay, who is this? All right. So we have a fountain pen, a parchment, and that shh, like secret emoji. Who could this be? You guys are like, we're not even struggling, Sarah. Come on. Yes, this one is meant to represent Henri because he's writing in secret. All right. Okay. This one might be a little bit trickier. See if you can figure it out. I will give you a hint. This is meant to represent more than one person. So see if you can figure out who this more than one person is meant to represent. Okay. Okay. Okay, and you know what? There are actually a few different guesses in here that will actually work. Someone has said it's Nicolette and her contacts, which is absolutely correct. Others remembered that the couple that she makes contact with in England is named the Beaumonts. So yes, that's them. And someone else has said it's La Tapisserie, it's the tapestry, which also works because they're part of that organization. Yeah, so it represents them because they're a couple. She's a spy, and they spent time going over a map, you'll remember, in a few of their scenes. So good job, guys. You're doing good. I'm not even tricky. Thought I was. All right, here's another one. Who could this represent? We'll see if everyone can guess on this one. And I should tell you, especially because these are French names, spelling does not count. I know who you mean, so don't worry about that. French names are tricky. Okay. Sorry, I just love the way people are describing him. Okay, so a lot of you figured out that this one is meant to represent Pierre Leandre. He was engaged to Nicolette, but is not anymore, and he's angry. So that's who that was meant to be. Oh, man. Okay, one more. Now, this one, I will tell you, doesn't represent people, but a scene in the book. So see if you can figure out what scene it is. Who can figure it out? It was fun putting these together. I need to remember before the next book club to toss out entries for the emoji game because it's fun when I have to guess too. Okay, people are figuring it out. All right. Okay. Okay, so you guys are figuring it out. Rebecca saying it's the one where they steal Philip. Yeah, they do steal Philip in this scene. This is essentially, it was a scavenger hunt, which most people are putting on there. I found out that at this time, they wouldn't have called it that. So I had to think of a way to describe it so everyone knew it was a scavenger hunt without using the term because the term wasn't being used at the time. But yeah, that's what it represents. We have the book. They start out with a book of poetry, a cane, or a walking stick that they steal from Lucas, the hat they steal from Digby, and Philip, whom they steal from the nursery. That was a really fun scene to write. One of the things I love about the Gents books is that they play so many games because it's one of the things that the Gents love doing. And it means I get to study the different games they used to play at house parties and at get-togethers and gatherings. It's really, really, really fun. All right, so I'm going to scroll through here and pick someone who has played along in this live stream to win one of these swag packs, these bundles. So we're going to scroll. All right, and my mouse landed on Krista Van Langen, I think, or Langen. I'm sorry, I'm not overly familiar with that one, but I'm going to write it down. It will be correct when I post it on Thursday. Let me write it down. Okay. And then I will draw another winner from these games who will win on Thursday. All right. I'm going to pull this off so we can all focus. Okay. So one more fun thing to do before we get to our question and answer. I thought it might be really fun, since you all have just finished the third Gents book, to read a little bit from the fourth Gents book. What do you think? It's finished. It's turned in. It has been accepted. It is going through the publishing pipeline. So I have for you the pre-edits version of that book. What do you guys think? You guys want to hear a little bit of the fourth book? This will tell you who that book is about. It'll give you a teeny bit of a glimpse. I'm not going to read all of it, but I'll read some. Okay, so people are saying yay. If you're one who doesn't like to hear anything ahead of time, you can mute the feed for a little while. The closed captioning will probably still pop up, so maybe ignore that. But can let you hear a little bit. This will tell you who it's about. All right, chapter 1, Cambridge University, 1774. Independence was proving highly overrated. Niles Greenberry had come to Cambridge specifically because his very large and very involved family had always attended Oxford. He had a brother and quite a few cousins at that university even then. Other than Niles, there were no Greenberrys at Cambridge. And he was a little lonely. Not lonely enough to rush home to the crush of siblings, parents, aunts, uncles, grandparents, and cousins who filled their corner of Cornwall, and not enough that he was willing to switch universities, but just enough that he had decided to do something he very seldom did: talk to people he didn't know. Over the course of his first term at Cambridge and throughout the first half of his second, Niles had been inarguably intrigued by a group known to all as the Gents. Theirs was a tight-knit circle, all in their first year at university, who had almost immediately become the stuff of legend. Nearly every student at Cambridge wished to be part of their very exclusive and lively brotherhood. It was with that hope in his mind that Niles tentatively approached Stanley Cummings, who was generally assumed to be the head gent. Sitting on a low wall in a courtyard, Niles had been hoping for a chance to approach him. He'd been thinking of him by his Christian name in an attempt to feel less intimidated. Stanley was by himself, which didn't happen often. It was Niles's best opportunity to begin what he hoped would eventually become a camaraderie. First, though, Niles had to actually speak to him. He wasn't a coward, truly, but putting himself forward was a highly uncomfortable prospect. He preferred listening to orating, going along to blazing a trail. Niles enjoyed a lark and an adventure as much as the next person, but he didn't generally instigate those adventures. Among his family, he'd been the reliable companion when a brother or cousin undertook a bit of mischief. Surely the Gents could use an accomplice. Before Niles managed a single word, Stanley looked up and saw him hovering nearby. "How are you, Greenberry?" he asked, quite casually, almost as if they'd spoken dozens of times rather than not at all. "You know who I am?" Not the bold beginning he'd meant to make. Stanley smiled. "Niles Greenberry. You hail from Cornwall. You come to Cambridge from Harrow. You're studying classics, but I suspect you don't enjoy it." Yeah, but what did I eat for my midday meal today?" That earned him a laugh, something the Gents were famous for: laughter and larks and unwavering loyalty. Stanley lifted the book he was reading. "My father has me studying classics as well. It's not to my liking, but that doesn't seem to matter." How familiar that was. "My family doesn't allow me many choices in life. I had to browbeat them to be permitted to attend Cambridge when they far prefer Oxford." Browbeat? Stanley looked a little doubtful, and well he might. Niles was not one to put himself forward, a trait that was obvious to anyone paying the least attention, and he suspected Stanley paid attention to a great many things. Browbeat sounds better than beg and plead like a child, which is what I actually did. Again, another chuckle. This was going better than Niles had feared it would. Stanley and one of the other Gents, Lord Jonquil, had returned from Nottinghamshire only a few days before. One of Stanley's sisters had died, though Niles didn't know the circumstances. Both gentlemen had returned heavier of countenance. Niles hoped Stanley appreciated having a reason to laugh, even lightly and briefly. He hoped it eased his pain a little. I thought maybe... Niles wasn't eloquent, but he didn't usually stumble this much over his words. It was likely less a matter of not having mastery of the words he wanted, but being so unsure of the outcome of the request he meant to make. "Should you ever need another person for... when you're undertaking a cricket match, if you're ever in need of another on your team, then I would..." Stanley didn't laugh then, which was a relief, and he did seem to be listening. "I've not ever seen you play cricket." "I'm good at it." Niles wasn't boasting, but stating the unvarnished truth. "I know I'm not the tallest of men, and I'm not built like an out-and-outer, but I've yet to find a sport I'm not good at." Truly, that intrigued Stanley. Niles could hardly blame Stanley for not immediately believing him. The quiet, small, overlooked people were never assumed to be good at anything, beyond books and deep thinking and knowing the precise distance from a fireplace to achieve optimal snugness. "I know you and the Gents have a good team as it is, especially with Fortier on your team." That surprised everyone, truth be told. "People can be extremely surprising," Stanley said. "It's one of my favorite things about them." This was his moment. Niles knew that instinctively. He would never forgive himself if he didn't seize it. "I think I could be surprising in good ways, too. If the Gents are ever looking for someone to round out numbers or do some of the less glamorous work on an adventure, I'm your man." Stanley eyed him with a studying gaze. "Are you petitioning for membership?" No doubt plenty of others had done precisely that and had been humiliatingly disappointed. He refused to be discouraged so quickly, only offering up my services as an aide de camp. That's the thing, though, Niles Greenberry, Stanley said. In our brotherhood, there are no subordinates, no underlings. Well, that was his luck running out then. Niles knew he wasn't good for much else. And that's where I'm going to leave you. So there you go. There's our opening. Like all of the other Gents books, you get to see the moment when each of these Gents crossed into the circle of brotherhood. So that's Niles's little opening there. You get to read the rest of that scene when the book comes out. But that's how it started. Our sweet little puppy found courage to approach the highwayman. So there you go. Yay. Anyway, it's fun to see that you guys are enjoying it. Oh, so there you are. That means that book is done. It's been turned in. It's been accepted. So watch for that. It should be coming out next year. So yay. All right. So that was kind of the last of the things I have. I'm going to toss out to you guys. If you are here with a book club, I would love to hear that. We're going to do our book club roll call, which I do with every book club. And I will choose on Thursday a book club, even if you're a book club of one, but a book club from amongst all those who comment. And the prize that book club will win is I will join your book club for a discussion of a future book, or it could be this book if you wanted. If you don't live near me, that's fine. I do a lot of these over Zoom. So woohoo. All right. Okay, well, Lydia says she's excited to get to know Niles a little. And she's right. We don't know him as well because he's so quiet that it'll be really, really great to get to know Niles a little bit better. So that is the next one. A lot of people have asked which Gent has their book next, and it is Niles. You know from Fleur-de-Lis that he has been summoned back to Cornwall. It's time to pay the piper. So that is his book, is the next one. So yay. Okay, so I'm seeing people popping in their book club name or that they are their own book club. I will draw. But then if I draw your name and you're here as your own book club, you can always put together just a gathering of book-loving people if you end up winning. I will join your book club drawing. So go ahead and post that in. Oh, yes, Amy is saying Niles was so helpful in Fleur-de-Lis. He really was. He's one of those people who gets very underestimated because he is really quiet. But he's like all the Gents. He's clever. He's loyal. He's a good person. He works hard. And as he mentioned in that little opening, he is actually very athletic and very sportsy. So you can get to know a little bit about him in that sense. We do see a little hint of that in Lily of the Valley. He and Lucas are teaching Georgie how to play some sports because that's kind of Niles's thing. So you can get to know that a little bit. All right, so that takes us to what we're going to do for the last 15, 20-ish minutes of this book club. I try to keep these to about an hour, and that is question and answer. So again, I will toss out the warning to everyone that there may very well be spoilers for this book in this question and answer. I would ask if you have read any books other than this one that aren't out yet, that we not talk about those because I don't want to have any spoilers for anything else. So what are your questions? Sandy says, as soon as Niles was called home, she couldn't wait for his story. Yeah, you kind of knew his had to be next because stuff's going to be going down. So what are your questions? I'm going to have a little sip of shrub while I wait for them to come through. And if you guys would ever like to have shrub at your book clubs, the recipe is in the Fiction Kitchen Trio cookbook. So, ooh la la. All right. Someone's like, I can't remember the name of my book club. What are we called again? Oh my gosh, I'm so glad that you guys have like brain melts just like I do. Okay, so a couple people have asked, will we ever get Roderick's story? You know from a lot of books in the Jonquil Lancaster universe that Roderick, little baby Roderick Bennick, who is like, what is he, 5 or 6 in this book? And Adele Fortier, who is like 3. They grow up to be Roderick and Adele, the Duke and Duchess of Hartley. So they're asking if we're ever going to get that book. Yes, you will. But there is another book that needs to be released first because it plays a big role in what happens in their book. So yes, it will get written. It is on my list, but it has to wait until a couple of other things come out and are explained. So, okay, I'm being asked if we're going to get a book for Celeste. That is Henri's sister. That is my plan. The list I have of people I'm going to write about is very, very long. We leave Celeste in not an ideal situation. So yes, I have a feeling she will not be very patient with me in wanting to get out of the situation she's in, because she, in many ways, purchased Henri's freedom by giving up a lot of her own. And I don't intend to leave her like that. So yes, absolutely. Okay. Brittany's asking what book has to happen first. I'm not going to tell you that. Just know that there's a book that has to happen first. But it should be soon, I hope. Oh, yay. We're getting all the love for Celeste. Wasn't she just fabulous? I loved her. Okay, Amy Mortensen is asking, what is the Easter egg that took 15 years to be able to finally write? What was it? I know exactly what you're talking about. I had mentioned I think it was a cutting room floor, that there was an Easter egg in this book that I set up 15 years ago. And what that Easter egg is, and I'm going to leave it a little open for just a minute here so people can try to guess. This is not the first time you have heard about Nicolette. She shows up in one of the books I wrote a long time ago. You just didn't realize it. So I was setting it up then. She shows up now, and there is, if you read real close, you'll be able to figure out who it is and what book that is. But she has been mentioned before. I'll circle back to that question, but I want to give everyone a chance to kind of ponder it. Stacy's wondering when we'll have another Hope Springs book. It is my plan to write the next book in that series at the end of this year. So hopefully there will be a new one in that series next year. That is what I'm hoping. I'm crossing my fingers. Chelsea wants to know if we are going to know the conversation that Julia and Digby had when she leaves to go back to Farland Meadows. I'm assuming you mean in Forget Me Not, because Digby goes with her to make sure that she's safe and she gets there okay. It is my plan that will be talked about to a degree, but you're not going to like hear it verbatim. So you'll find out a little bit more about what that was. It's a lot of insights into what Julia was experiencing. A lot of people, when they read that book, are absolutely convinced that she was being super unfair because Lucas was trying so hard and he was trying to make it work. But if you go back and really read it, you'll recognize that we know what he's thinking and what he's feeling and what he's trying to do, but he doesn't communicate that to her. So she has to fill in the blanks in whatever way she can. And her, at that point, almost entire history with him is of being abandoned and left behind. So history is what informs many of our assumptions in the present. And so there's a lot of that going on. So they start to figure out what her difficulty is and what she's not being told. And we know she gets all those letters from the Gents after she's been there for a little while. Digby is the one who wrote to them and said, Julia doesn't understand. We need her to see and to feel what Lucas feels for her because he's not doing a good job explaining it to her. So Digby instigated that because he's just a wonderful thing. Let's see. Oh, okay. Marilyn, who's commenting on YouTube, wants to know, because we know in For Love or Honor that Stanley has a prosthetic leg, and it's not a great one, and he doesn't love it. She's wondering if he ever goes to Kess to help improve that, because Kess and Violet have worked on that. He does. And it's mentioned in Charming Artemis that Sorrel's hip brace that she wears, they got through Kess and his contacts. It's mentioned that there was an apothecary in the north of England who specialized in these kind of things. That's the same apothecary that they go to and start making these prostheses with. So yes, absolutely. Kess becomes an incredible resource for them as they're dealing with all of this. Let's see. Oh, Jay Britt is asking, why do Henri and Nicolette help in the First Huntress's book? So in The Best Intentions, it's mentioned that they step forward and offer a lot of help. I can't tell you why yet. You will figure that out as the Huntress's books go on, but there is a reason and there is a connection. Many people caught on to the fact that there is some kind of a connection between Nicolette and one of the Huntresses. I'll let you go back and look for that. But yeah, there's a lot underlying all of that you're going to get to know a little bit more. Tara says that's what friends are for, saving each other's marriages. I feel like that's what the Gents do through this entire series. It's like we need to save each other from each other. Let's see. What else have we got in here? Brittany is asking, does La Tapisserie, so the tapestry, have anything to do with the stuff Philip dealt with in his book? Indirectly, yes. It's not the same organization. Philip is literally spying for the government of the United Kingdom. And La Tapisserie was a private organization undertaking spy type work on behalf of the French people. So there's an indirect connection there, but not a direct one. All right, let's see. Oh, and Rebecca had noticed that in Fleur-de-Lis, Violet is a little more open about her disability, about her prosthetic limb. You're going to see that as the book goes on, as she becomes more welcomed into this group, more comfortable among them. The things that she worries that she will be rejected about, those get eased a little because she has this group, these Gents, and their circle that are so loyal and so dedicated to each other that it's not an issue for her. She doesn't worry about it. Marilyn wants to know, does Philip use his father's walking stick? Yes, he does. It's one of the reasons he was so frustrated with Sorrel at the beginning of Friends and Foes when she tried to, when he thought she was trying to take off with it. He has had it retrofitted for his purposes because he also hides documents and things in it. But yes, that was his. He also uses his father's pocket watch. You'll notice in Forget Me Not that Lucas came back from Europe with a pocket watch. I'm pretty sure that made it into the final draft. And we mention all the fobs on Philip's watch. That's his father's watch. So he has a lot of his father's things with him all the time because that connection is precious to him. Okay, so I'm going to scroll back to that Easter egg that I waited for 15 years. Nicolette comes up in the book A Fine Gentleman. She is mentioned in a conversation between Mariposa and Philip. And I will let you go try and find that conversation and when she's mentioned there. So I've had people ask me about this conversation a few times over the years and I couldn't answer, but this book is the answer to that question. So go back and look for that. All right. Okay, I'm going to keep scrolling. Okay, oh, someone on here has figured it out. What? Okay, so that one was really fun because when I was writing A Fine Gentleman, I wrote that in 2010. Something like that. I wrote it in 2010, but I knew when I was planning all these books in 2007-ish that she was going to be mentioned there because I know the role that she plays in the background of a lot of things that are happening in that book. So, all right. Okay. Oh, some people figured that one out. I wondered if people would catch on to it. There is just the tiniest hint of it a couple of times in this book. And if you go back and reread A Fine Gentleman, you're going to piece it together. You just will. Like you're going to be like, I see what Sarah did there. So someone is asking if I'm writing another Hope Springs book, who's it going to be about? It will be Finbar's story. He is getting very loud in my head right now. He's ready to move forward. He's ready to heal and start doing better. Okay. All right. Let's see. What other questions do you guys have? Oh, and there's also a comment here about how it's interesting to see Nicolette, Lucas, and Digby interacting because you feel like you're seeing aspects of Philip's eventual character woven in there. Absolutely. The influence that those three specific people had on him is enormous. So it was fun to bring them all together. Shannon is asking if I will have more books in the Savage Wells series. Wyoming Wild came out in March. That was the 3rd book in that series. I haven't decided yet if there will be more books in that series. It's one of those where, because the books came out so far apart, there isn't really series momentum. So there isn't the same need to write it quickly. So I haven't crossed it off my list of possibilities, but it's not written in stone where or when it would come out. If I do write another one, the next one will be about the mysterious lawyer in town, Mr. Larson. So that's who is the next character in my brain. All right. Oh, okay. I'm seeing people saying they would love more of Savage Wells, and people who are excited about Finbar. So yay, good Finbar. Good job. Rebecca's asking if there was an inspiration for Nicolette. I don't know that there was a specific. I have, over the years, as I've been piecing these books together, read a lot about people who lived through the French Revolution and the Napoleonic Wars, and the impact that had on the people who lived through them, depending on where they were in life, where they were in society, how old they were, all of that, and read a lot about the people who, as they began to see rumblings of unrest, and we begin to see some of the upheaval that's coming, those who began to prepare for it because they could see what was coming, and those who stepped up to the plate when the time came. And so it came from a lot of those things, a lot of things I've been reading about people in these times and the things that they did. So it was a combination of a lot of things. Tara wants to know if we're going to get to know more about Stone's sweetheart, his love. We hear about her in The Bachelor and the Bride. He's a little close-lipped about her. But yes, you are going to learn more in The Queen and the Knave. So, woohoo. All right. Okay, so Virginia is saying that reading about La Tapisserie, it made her think a lot of The Scarlet Pimpernel. And yes, it's those kind of things that came out of this time, people who were attempting to reduce the loss of life and the bloodshed of this era to the extent that they could. And everyone was limited in what they could accomplish, and they approached it in different ways. I will say I made up that organization. There wasn't actually one, but we know that the Marquis de Lafayette was very aware of so much that was happening in France, and having spent as much time as he did part of the American Revolution, he knew what he was seeing. We see him in many ways navigate all of these shifts in ways that feel almost miraculous. A lot of it was he was really clever and smart, and he kind of knew things. He was brave, obviously. But he had seen revolution. He knew what it was. And he was actually really, really young, which a lot of people don't realize. He was made a general in the American Revolution when he was only 19. He was actually a very young man. We tend to think of him as the grizzled, old, white-haired, man we saw later in life. So by the time this book takes place, we're on the eve of the French Revolution. He's only 30. He's actually really a young man still. So I took a moment where I thought, if anyone would know what they were seeing rumblings of, if anyone would understand that something big was coming, he would. And I can't imagine he wouldn't do something about it. So this is me imagining what maybe he did and did in secret, because he was very instrumental in navigating all of that. He couldn't stop all of it. Obviously, there was a point at which he became an enemy of the revolution as well. But I knew that he probably was doing something, and this is what I came up with. Marilyn is asking when I'm writing the next Huntress's book. I have already written the next one. I start on the 3rd one. I will start writing that at the end of the summer. So I'm way ahead. I haven't announced books for next year, but you will start getting a lot of that information in the next little while. So it's going to be another busy year. All right. Amy is saying Lafayette was fascinating. He really, really was. I have a book. It's back here amongst all of my very, very old books, but it's a book called The Life of Lafayette, and it was published in the 1860s. And it's really interesting because at that point they're writing about him, and the revolution isn't even 100 years old at that point. Like, it's still pretty new, and we aren't even yet to the Civil War. So it was interesting to see perspectives on him when all of these things had happened somewhat recently. So, all right. Okay, how many books am I publishing next year? I don't know for sure. It will be at least 3. It's probably going to be 4. There's a possibility of 5. We're just going to see where everything falls. Rebecca's asking, what's my favorite piece of research for this book? Oh, gosh, I don't know. There were so many interesting ones. I got to do, and this is super nerdy research, but one of the things that was causing tension between France and England at this time was what was known as the Eden Agreement, which felt pretty fitting, right? But it had to do with tariffs and trade between the two countries. And England was still really mad at France over France's participation in the American Revolution. And so there was a lot of that involved in it. And many people in France felt like they kind of got a raw deal in this. And so there were a lot of people, both in France and in England, who were circumventing the law on that in order to make a lot of money. So studying that, some of the mechanisms that came into place, if you've read Sean Bessie's Georgian Gentleman, you know she talks about smuggling in the Georgian era. This is all connected to that. So studying those interesting things, how these tariffs and these treaties and these trade agreements impacted people and how people got around them and who took advantage of them. And so I got to study that and figure out how people would underhandedly make a lot of money and what the repercussions would be of getting caught. And that played a big role in it. Oh, okay, Amy caught on to this. She said, I love how you paralleled what Henri did for Aldrich and what Celeste did for Henri. I felt like, especially with Henri's character, he really does look out for other people. It's why when he approaches the Duke of Hartley and basically says, you're being a jerk to your son, but I know things about you. And if I tell people, it's going to destroy you. So you need to be nice to him and you need to quit treating him bad. And he has this moment where he could have secured a lot of things for himself. But in his mind, just because of who he is, that's never what it was about. He wanted to see Aldrich not be mistreated and not be, continue to be beaten up by a family that just was so super unkind to him. But that leaves Henri in a situation where he can't save himself. And Celeste, who at this point, I mean, we see that she's a good person, but she isn't Archbishop. She's not the saintly person that Henri is. She steps up and does the same thing because they are cut from the same cloth. They're good people who want what's best for others. So yay. Melissa is saying she loves how I get excited when I'm talking about things. Yeah, it's me. Okay, Virginia's asking how hard or easy was it to write Henri's poetry? Guys, it was so hard because I wanted it to be the kind of poetry he would actually write. So I spent time reading a ton of French poetry from this era, as well as English poetry from this era, because he studied poetry in England. So he would have studied English poets, but being French, there'd be a lot of French influence. So I knew it had to have both. So I spent so much time reading late 18th century poetry in order to figure out what he would write and how it would be produced and what he was likely to come up with. So it was really, really hard, but I kind of love that it turned out really pretty authentic. It's not poetry I would write, but it should never have been. It always needed to be what Henri would write, and that's how it turned out. Mara's saying it's sad that their families are unkind to them. Yeah, unfortunately, as I've studied through the past, there were a lot of families, and this is true today, obviously, but there were a lot of families that were so deeply dysfunctional. I think it happened a lot in this social class because so much about how families were created, with marriages and wanting to connect families to other families, was done for the sake of standing, was done for the sake of money, was done for the sake of land. And so you create this situation where people who were never meant to be able to get along with each other are forced to be together. And it, was miserable sometimes. So, on that happy note, right? All right, I think I have time for one more question. So I'll see what pops up. Like I said, I'm going to go back through these questions. I have some prizes we'll give away to people who have been commenting, some at random, some very specific games or questions. I'm going to draw a book club to win a book club visit. I'll post all those winners Thursday morning. And so, woohoo. All right. I think I've answered everyone's burning questions because there aren't any more coming in. Hopefully you guys really enjoyed getting to know Henri better. I hope you're excited for Niles's book. That one, like I said, it's done. It's in. It's been accepted. It's going to be amazing, right? If I do say so myself. It's fun to get to know Niles a little bit better. And after Niles, there are only 2 left. So obviously there's a lot set up in Niles's book for the remaining 2 books. So it's exciting. Okay. All right. Here's one more question I'll answer. Stacy is asking, how long do I write each day? My kids are all grown now and out of the house, so I'm an empty nester. So for me, writing is basically my 9 to 5 job. And that's what I do. I clock in about 9 o'clock. I clock out about 5, except on days when I have doctor's appointments or whatever, and I write all day. So a lot. I spend 40 to 50 hours a week probably writing or researching. So yeah, a lot. All right. So there you go. That is our book club. We've hit basically exactly an hour. Thank you to everyone who has tuned in, who played along in the comments. This live stream will stay up on my YouTube and on my Facebook, so you can come back to it later if you're joining us after the fact. And it is not yet, you hear my dog in the background, it is not yet July 13th. You still have time to put comments so you can be drawn for a prize. So thank you again for joining our ultimate book club of book clubs. We started this during COVID when no one could get together, and it was so much fun. I think I'm just going to keep doing it. So I imagine the next time we get together will be in September for The Queen and the Knave. So enjoy your book clubs. Until then, I will post winners on Thursday. And that's what I got for you. So thanks again, everyone. Have a wonderful night. See you next time.